What's winning that game like for you and this team?
Man, that was one of the most fun games I've been a part of, honestly, because of the way we fought, man, and we came out with a different energy. And I think that that stemmed from our Friday practice. Going into the New York game, we know we didn't have our best practice, but we ended up winning. And sometimes you got to find a way to win, but we know DQ talks about it all the time, just putting the work in during the week, and now we could be confident in the work that we put in and we could cut it loose. And I feel like we did that tonight. So to come out here against a team that had to get a win, playoff caliber team, I think we came out here and really set the tone, and we fought at the end when they tried to get the work back.
Swing and a miss, and a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books. Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions. You like that? You like that? I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
My approval ratings keep going up.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Well, boys, well. The Redskins, the Commanders, the football team did something they haven't done in a long time, which is win in a convincing fashion in a primetime spot. I had the distinct pleasure of sitting next to FP while watching that game. There was discussion about getting up at the end of the first quarter, actually at the end of the first Bengals drive, if I'm not mistaken, FP. Then there was discussion about getting up at the end of I think halftime, like we can get home and this and that. Then there was discussion about, all right, let's stay, let's see how the third quarter plays out. I'm happy to report we finished the game at Glory Days, our old stomping grounds, the Burke location this time, which actually had a fair number of Skins fans in there. No audio, which is inexplicable. Yeah. But FP, I'll go to you first because I got many thoughts. I think we all have many thoughts. I picked them to win. I think at the beginning of the season, we picked this game was a toss-up. I think most of them had them losing. Definitely with the Bengals starting the season 0-2, we had this as a get-right game for them. But look, man, they dominated. They outside of that first drive, or maybe look, nobody punted. There was no turnovers, but Jayden got it done, and I'll leave it at that for now. FP, I want your thoughts because we were sitting next to each other. We talked the entire game. It's a day later. How do you feel today?
To quote Michael Scott, one of your heroes, well, how the turntables. It is a completely a completely different tone coming from our captain, Mr. Joe, about this Redskins football team Commanders product that we saw last night. And I hate to say I've been telling you so, but come on. Patience. We saw from game 1 to game 2 to game 3, this offense was building and slowly getting better and better. Nobody wanted to see it. Everybody was quick to overreact. It's a good product we're seeing right now on the offense. Today is touchdown Tuesday, whatever you want to call it. We'll I don't want to talk about the defense. I want to focus solely on the offense.
Well, we're going to talk about the defense at some point, but longtime co-host that's been absent, LP, is back on the show. This poor guy was watching the game on a 3.5-hour tape delay, I think, because we were sitting there. LP's shooting messages in after Eckler and after this and after Chase. And LP, I'm not going to ask why you were so tape delayed, but did you get through the whole game?
I am on tape delay because I need to give the team my full undivided attention.
So whether they play on Sunday,
I got through the whole game in like 2 hours.
Yeah,
maybe even less. And it was great. I mean, fast forward 30 seconds, 4 times. First drive, I had the Jamar Chase touchdown first drive in my parlay, and I knew that was going to happen, right? First drive, they just made it look so easy, and I was like, okay, that's game. And then Jayden came out on his first drive and looked spectacular. The bombs to Terry, just efficiently moving the ball. Austin Eckler.
Let me give you all an inside look of how LP was texting on his tape delay. This is quote for quote what he started texting me. LOL, first drive, I knew it, don't respond. Kind of how we all felt. And then he goes, good response, don't respond. He's telling me not to respond so I don't break it for him or ruin it for him.
Sure.
And then he goes, "Oh my God, Terry was so open. Don't respond." Yes, Eckler.
Terry
Don't
was so open
respond.
in the
Terry
is a
was
beast.
so open on that
Don't
first one.
respond.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
When
and
did
then
you
it's just
respond, FU? At what point did you actually respond?
I waited until LP finally said, I caught up, woo, all the expletives came out, and then we finally started discussing the game roughly at like 12:30.
I mean,
No,
how
it was about
much?
12.
I mean,
I started
I was
about
up.
9:45 and I ended about 11:50.
Listen, I was up. I was flipping between post game shows.
Sleep. I couldn't sleep.
I couldn't sleep either. Honestly, it's inexplainable. Let me say it this way. I was a little embarrassed that I was as excited last night as I was basically as I think when they won the World Series. No. I'm saying, like, do you remember how hyped we were when the Caps were like a game away from winning? Or
it's the same level of excitement.
I don't know why I felt that way, but I did. I came home and I tried to everyone's like asleep, and I'm like trying to like whisper, and I'm literally listening to 2 post game shows at the same time, and I got ESPN on the TV behind me. Like, I couldn't get enough of it. And I said it last night, FP. I don't know if you actually set your alarm. I was up at 5:55.
I tuned into them at the gym.
I was ready. I was 100% ready to consume endless amounts of content today to hear how great this team is, how great Jayden is, and just all the talking heads, national media, all day long. I literally consumed.
Well, you have to think.
I'm going to 6 to 7 hours of Commanders content today.
We have been so deprived of national media coverage in a positive way, right? Good Morning Football and the Eisen Show.
That's your
show.
You're always plugging that show.
No. Good Morning Football was pretty complimentary of Ron. They're buds.
They were complimentary, but the most time we would hear the national media cover this team for the last 25 years, it's talking about the latest court case or BS against Snyder or whatever. You don't really get this except for that one lightning in a bottle in 2012. But even then, it didn't come until later in the season. But this feels different. This feels better than 2012 ever felt. The excitement I have for this win is more than the excitement I had for RG3's win against the Saints.
I think the expectations. So RG3 was unique because there was no frame of reference for us, right? Like there wasn't, like, he was so different, and it was the Shanahans, and like you really didn't know like what was, like, it was all new, if you will. With Jayden, there's I think
across the NFL.
Sure,
right, yeah, not just in Washington.
Absolutely, but with Jayden, like yesterday.
He has an arm. That's it.
It just feels feels different to me. Look, and I wasn't always like I'm still trying to process what I want to say here, and like I'm forming my opinion still on Jayden. That's my honest. That's my current position.
I will accept that. Better than what Joe said.
I didn't feel nervous.
Wait, were you against Jayden before?
I mean, I believe leading up to the draft, I was in the Drake camp, and coming out of the draft, I really liked what Bo Nix was doing. I really like what Bo Nix was doing even the first couple of weeks. So, I mean, I'm not the biggest Jayden fan. I thought his frame was too slight. Like, I have my concerns, but I can say yesterday, watching that game, watched every play, there was no point in time where I felt nervous, right? With Heineke, he would go out there, or pretty much anyone else that's played quarterback here, and you feel nervous, especially with Heineke, like, because he's for whatever reason, that's like the one quarterback that's always stuck in my head these days when it comes to this team. It was 50-50 balls. Jayden doesn't throw 50-50 balls. When he runs, he's not running. I mean, there may have been a couple design runs here and there. He's running as a third or fourth option, and he slid. I mean, it's crazy to even have to talk about this, but he, at no point yesterday did I feel nervous with the ball in his hands that he was going to make a poor decision or force the action.
You got the confidence from seeing him not let the moment get too big. And you saw it in his body language. You saw how he made his reads.
I love the give me more. I love the give me more. They were trying to spin a little bit today. They were trying to spin a little bit today that he was the one pushing to go for it on fourth. I mean, that's not what it looked like in real time, but that's fine. I mean, DQ
shut that down in the post game conference, saying it was all him. So all DQ. But I mean, even
but of course
when,
Jayden's going to want to go for it. Every quarterback wants to go for it on
for
fourth
sure.
down,
Every
right?
athlete,
When
of
it's in that
But
situation.
even the
There's
times
nothing.
that Jayden doesn't pass, he was making the correct not pass decision, right? Instead of rifling it in and making like a 400 level QB pass,
So on
where
that
it has
note,
to be just right, he would scramble with it, right? So like, there's a couple times when we saw like Ben Sinnott was like wide open, and we're like, oh, he's wide open, but it was there, but it was correct to not go for it right then and there. His confidence and his understanding of the game, because he played more than 10 college games in his career, you can see see why everyone said he was the most pro-ready quarterback.
I want to play a clip from Bengals post game. It's their local show. LP, I want to get your reaction. Both of you guys, I want to get your reaction to this. Let me cue this up real quick. I do want to get your reaction to this. Listen to this. It's a quick 14-second hit.
Defense was awful. The defense was awful. Didn't stop Jayden Daniels all night, and I like Jayden Daniels. I think he's a heck of a player. He's not that good, and the Bengals made him that good. They didn't force a punt. They didn't force a turnover. This Washington Commanders offense went up and down the field.
So they definitely went up and down the field. We're not going to but was this? Do you put any truth or any weight on that statement that the Bengals? I don't personally. I thought that was actually the most ridiculous take of all the media I consumed today. That was the one clip that just really stood out. That like it was as if the guy didn't watch the game, because the Bengals didn't give him anything.
Understand why he said that, being the market he's in, but
sure. But I mean, I'm saying, like, do either of you feel like the Bengals weren't on their A game, or like the Bengals? Like, I feel like he beat a quality team yesterday.
Playoff caliber team,
right.
AFC sweethearts.
Yeah, I understand they're 0-3, but like it's a different 0-3. It's like the Seahawks being 3-0. Like, it's a different 3-0. Like, that's how I'm processing this. And Burrow, frankly, to me, it's inexplicable. It's inexplicable that Chase only got targeted, I think, 6 times in that game, right? And he caught 4 of them, and it was touchdown. Like, how do you only throw it 6 times?
That's what is mind-boggling to me, is that they have kind of abandoned the long game and the pass game. The Bengals did, and they started running more second, third quarter, and then then
they abandoned the
run.
run.
The fourth quarter. Then they went back and they went to Jamar Chase, and he got the touchdown. So, but to your point, it's not like there was some fluke play, that a special teams play, a blocked punt, a blocked field goal. Sure, there was a missed field goal. There was the Eckler return on the punt.
2 weeks in
but
a row.
This was
for Eckler. 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's true. But this
was
was a Bengals team who played well. I would say they played well enough to win the game.
I mean,
the Commanders just played better.
I think FP, you're the one that sent me, like, nobody, the first time in 40 years that
since 1940.
Okay, so 60, 70 years that nobody,
no turnover, no punt.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not good for either defense for sure. But I mean, Tress, who is a Pro Bowler, hasn't. I mean, he's
punted in 2 games.
Yeah, I think he's punted.
It's actually
week 1,
9 quarters.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do it in the fourth quarter.
He has 1 punt on the season, maybe 2, and they were both early. I mean, it's just such an odd stat to me. I don't know how.
We need to give the props to Cliff, because there was a lot of hate.
He's your alpha of the week.
There was a lot of hate that came out of this show specifically and other media shows that were anti-Cliff, that didn't like the offense that they saw. They weren't a big fan of it. They weren't understanding what was happening. But when you see what Cliff was doing, when you see kind of the slow roll of opening up the offensive playbook to get Jayden comfortable with the speed of the game.
Do you feel that is what's happening, or was
yes,
the game?
1000%. It's a slow roll release of that offense, and you recognize it more when you look at Caleb and the Bears, right? Because they are that is the equivalent of throwing them to the wolves. No correct play calling to protect him for the weaknesses of that offense.
That team.
No, that offensive line is garbage.
Our offensive
that's what's
line
actually
is
not being talked
too.
about enough.
No, but ours is garbage too. But
no, it's not. Our offensive line
playing well.
It's playing well for 2 reasons: because Jayden is mobile, and because we're calling plays where we're run heavy, but we're calling some we're setting up plays,
quick
right?
plays.
Cliff is setting up quick plays that opens up the deep ball.
But I think it's a fair point to say that coming into the season, nobody would have looked at the Washington O-line or the Chicago O-line and said, this is the strength of the team. The difference between these rosters is you have rookie quarterbacks on both, but these skill positions, I believe, on the Chicago roster coming into the season, way better.
Yeah.
Way better. So
nobody would deny that.
Right. But I think that's what makes this storyline even more compelling. We can talk about the league at large here in a few minutes, but just to keep it on the Commanders for just a couple more things I want to touch on. They don't have a receiver 2, and I've been very critical of receiver 1, and I want to talk about this for a second because through the first 2 weeks, I've been very critical. I was very critical on Terry McLaurin for not getting separation and really just not touching the ball. They just couldn't get the ball to him. He wasn't always open.
There was a few plays he was open in the first 2 weeks, and the ball just didn't go his way.
Yes, for sure. But to see him go out there and play the way he has, I'm not going to say throughout his career, but early on in his career, deep balls, take the top off. It's
put the scary back
early Santana versus late career Santana. If you recall, early Santana, he's catching everything 20+ yards down the field. Late Santana, very skilled player and was still very valuable to the team, catching all the dinks and dunks and just kind of falling forward. Terry still has that top end speed, and it was really, really exciting to see it multiple times against, again, a defense that is better than most.
4 for 100 is a great stat line.
Sure, and really there was one that was left on the field, so he was overthrown. You gotta have a big arm to overthrow somebody with that kind of speed. So it was exciting to see, really to see him come to life. That was the first real quality game he's played in.
It's 100% LP's fault, 1,000%. He had him starting on his fantasy team week 1, week 2, and we have a rule: never draft a Redskin player. And then week 3, he benches him.
That's Dan Snyder level superstition.
I'm just saying that's the jinx of LP. Nobody downplayed the jinx of LP.
Oh, okay.
Ask him how his parlay went. Nobody downplayed.
Okay, but going back to him for a second here, he is the clear-cut number 1 on this team, and we can debate whether he is or isn't, or 1.5 or whatever. What is this team going to do moving forward with that second position? Because they've clearly got guys that can catch the ball and run. Luke looked good. He actually looked like
Luke's coming up party.
He was the most open, right? There was a PFF thing about he's like the 6th highest space creating wide receiver in the league. He's got the makings of a stud, right? That's what the stats say. And they've got other pieces like Ertz, who has proven, right, he can catch the ball and get down, which, he did. I think he fumbled one or bobbled one, but what are they going to do long term at that second position, at that second wide receiver position? Because I do think it's important that someone owned that role, right? It's the former Jahan role. But do you guys feel the same way I do? Someone has to be the number 2. It can't be committee.
No, I think if the Commanders continue to win and are at least around 500 around the trade deadline, I think they go out and they get a receiver like a Devontae Adams. They asked him on the Kay Adams show today what he thought of Jayden, and he was just exemplary.
If Jayden has that type of pull where people want to play with him, that's
he
great.
does. And
I would
there's
love
rumors that he would be on the block. And the Commanders have $30+ million in cap space still.
That's the one big topic I didn't hear at all for the most part today. They got so much money to spend.
We have $100 million cap space next offseason and 9 draft picks.
Yeah.
So it's
you can take on a big Devontae.
But we're not going to steal. We're not going to steal Devontae from Aaron Rodgers. That's not happening.
But you also don't need someone like that. You really do need somebody.
You're not going to like my answer, and I really think Noah Brown.
You know what? He's fascinating.
I'm telling you.
It's fascinating.
You didn't want to believe me when we signed him. You didn't want to believe me when he came in here. You didn't want to believe me. He is a big body, speedy receiver that the Texans let go because they got Diggs and they thought they didn't need him anymore. But you cannot tell me that if you utilize him correctly, that he cannot be a solid wide receiver too. First of all, you revisit that trade. We fleeced the Eagles. Done. period.
Yes.
We fleeced the Eagles.
Makes
Nobody
me
was used to that.
actually, because that doesn't happen.
But Noah Brown, you need Noah Brown and Luke to step up, because when you do get into that trade deadline, I don't want us. I think the offense through 3 games, even though it's been 3 games, has proven they don't really need the added support, right? Get Eckler back to healthy from his concussion or whatever.
That's going to hurt.
That's going to hurt a little bit depending on how long it goes. But you don't really need to address the offense. Trade deadline comes. I need bodies on defense. I need playmakers. I need secondary. Secondary. And edge rushers.
I don't think you can add pieces to the defense midseason and
defense
to have
is
a
easier
noticeable
to add.
impact.
Oh, no, defense is way easier
I don't
to
think
add
so.
midseason.
It's way more about scheme. It's way more about scheme. And
no, but the thing with defense is you just have to know coverage, and then you go out and you play
gelling. There's so much communication.
Why? If you get a corner, if you get a man corner, a corner that can.
We saw it under Ron, who would bring
saw with
in
HaHa Clinton Dix.
We would see under Ron, who would get a man coverage corner and install him in his zone defense.
No. I'm talking about midseason.
Is that not the Josh Gordon situation as well?
It happened the last 10 years for us.
That was in the offseason. That was in the offseason. Remember, there was a year where our defense was great, and the theme of the trade deadline was attack success, right? And then we went and got HaHa Clinton Dix, and then all of a sudden our defense started sucking. And it wasn't that he was a bad player. It's all about scheme. It's all about communication. It's all about gelling.
It's easier to bring in a defensive player and have it click right away. I'm telling you,
maybe receiver.
No, it's easier to adjust. It's easier to adjust.
No, dude. No,
your play calling.
Are you telling me right now if we went out and we got Patrick Peterson or whoever suddenly, and you put him in our secondary isn't immediately better?
It's immediately better. It also, but it depends on the piece that you get. If you're getting a safety,
you're not going from a 32 ranked defense to a number 1 ranked defense.
But you don't need to be number 1.
No, we're going from a 28th ranked defense. Bring me to a 16 to an 18 to a 15.
Yeah.
With this offense,
the offense can get points.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need a number 1 defense here. You need a average.
You need a serviceable defense.
And again, I will agree that adding like someone like a safety or adding safety help is scheme, and it's going to require time. But if you can get a press cover corner, you just go you just line up against the best receiver over and over and over again.
Yeah.
There's not much else to that position.
Not much else. And it kind of it's kind of backwards logic, right? You know how they say if your D line is amazing, it's less pressure on your secondary, right? And that's what we've always been hoping for with Allen and Payne. Yet somehow, some way, Allen and Payne are a disappearing act. Part of it is
consistently.
Yeah, part of it is them, and they're constantly double teamed and blah blah blah. But a lot of it is a QB doesn't have to stand there for more than 2 seconds to get his play off, right? The secondary is so terrible. It doesn't matter how fast the pass rush is. Burrow's getting that pass out in 2.1 seconds for 60 yards, right? So the secondary is so bad, it's making your stars on your D line and your linebackers look invisible.
Yeah.
They were a little bit better yesterday, right? So Sandstrom lined up as the number 2 corner on the outside, right? He was on Chase. Okay, he got burned one-on-one versus Chase. Why we're lined up one-on-one with versus Chase makes no sense. Every other team
you were in bracket coverage with Chase. You were playing high-low.
Every other team.
Look, the Bengals. It's crazy that they only threw him the ball 6 times or targeted him 6 times. That doesn't make any sense to me, right? That is a failure from the coaching, and maybe to Burrow as well. Like you just got to audible. He was open a lot. He just was.
Well, to LP's defense, like the defense did play better because outside of those 2 busted plays, they kept everything in front of them. We held them to a couple field goals.
Yeah, your boy Frankie played great.
The defense, as terrible as they looked,
swarm tackled yesterday. Yeah, that's one thing I noticed.
They were gang tackling.
Yes, and special teams. I think it's notable here that the kicker might be the kicker, right?
Yeah.
Like but I also appreciate that they went for it on 4th. I mean, when's the last time they converted? I think Jayden missed 2 passes all night. They completed all but 1 3rd down attempt and converted all their 4th down attempts. Like that's
Riverboat Dan, baby.
I mean,
91% completion.
He had more touchdowns than incompletions. We've never had a stat like that.
Yes. No, it's
amazing.
exciting. Honestly, it's exciting. I mean,
It is.
Do you have any? I mean, obviously, going into Arizona, or they flew straight to Arizona, which I found to be interesting too. I don't know if you guys knew that, but they went
Which
straight.
never happened under Dan, by the way.
Dan would never have paid for that. To put
They're
him up in a
practicing at
hotel.
Arizona
That's
State.
interesting. I didn't even think of that.
He never
They're
would have
practicing at Arizona State.
Yeah,
which
they
is
would have
Jayden's
busted
first
home from
college.
Cincinnati, stayed in Ashburn for a little bit, flown, and then had to deal with the time change and the adjustment Saturday night. We never would have been.
I mean, I do like that though. Like the team is, especially coming off a win. Like maybe if you lose, you bring them home and reset, whatever. But off a win, it just seems like that's nice. Like you keep the positive
Ride the
energy
momentum.
going.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Now Eckler didn't travel with the team, and it looks like it's going to be multi-week for him. I mean that's
he's back
big
in
loss.
Virginia, so
Yeah,
he's not.
but
He's not.
He's
playing
definitely
this
not
week.
playing this week, but that's a big loss for the team, right? He's like
That's a huge loss.
He was playing great as a special teamer and as the spell running back.
He was a solid pickup.
Now the third running back reminds me of a mini
McNichols. Yeah,
McNichols.
Yeah,
he's also been a journeyman in the NFL for a while, so
Did
he's
you
had
see
some
the
spurs.
block he put on. Did you see
a big block?
He put a huge block on.
That's all over.
Yeah,
Twitter,
I mean that was impressive. I mean,
I think.
Go ahead.
I think overall, sorry, and you and I were discussing this yesterday, Joe's. Repeatedly, all the plays that we were seeing being made, the big plays, the noticeable stops, tackles, blocks, whatever, they were all AP and DQ guys, right? Luvu, Wagner, Chin, McNichols, Ertz, Noah Brown, like all of these like noticeable big plays, Luke, outside of just Terry and B-Rob being them, it was all DQ and AP guys.
You guys, for sure.
And it makes you like yes, there's a lot to improve on. It's been 3 weeks. The defense still has holes. But if you're immediately seeing return on the personnel decisions being made, right? It's exciting, but like I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but if you give AP another offseason, right? If you give him one more
pump the brakes, big guy.
No, I'm just saying, everyone talks about that QB window.
Yeah, no, you
have the right people in charge to take advantage of this QB window, this rookie contract QB window.
I'm not looking for next year. I'm looking for what they can do this year, and I don't think
that's my guy. We're going Super Bowl, baby. I knew it.
Super Bowl, but
I mean, honestly, 2-1. I feel like we're playing with less money.
Can they not win the NFC East playing the way they are? Of course they can.
Yeah.
I mean, playing the way that you played yesterday,
we'll talk about
can you not beat any other team in the NFL?
They shouldn't be afraid of any team.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you could compete.
In fact, what I said on, I think, the first week of the show, right, when people look at the Commanders on their schedule, they're thinking this is a win, right? And we talked about this. I don't know if they're just defaulting to win after what they saw, because, yes, the defense is leaky and will give up points, but this offense, even without maybe the more, notable names opposite, Terry, specifically at the receiver position, like you can't just pencil them in for 15, maybe 16 points. I mean, they're gonna get points. And if they can kick with any consistency, then you're talking about 20, 22, 25. That puts pressure on whoever you're playing against. I mean, look at, and again, we'll go around. I was going to talk about the Steelers here, but we'll go. I have one more question on the Commanders, and then we'll switch gears and go league at large. Who is your MVP 3 weeks into the season? I think all of us are going to. I mean, if you're going to say JD5,
minus Jayden.
Yeah, give me somebody else. Offense, any position, coach, whatever you want, but not Jayden. Just assume Jayden is Oliver. Eckler for you?
Eckler is the easy second choice, I think.
FP?
I think I'm gonna go Frankie Louvu.
It's interesting. I thought I was actually gonna guess that for you.
He's the defense in the middle has been so leaky since London left. And Wagner's good, but Wagner's he's arm's distance, right? He can only cover 2 yards around him. Louvu flies and makes those big hits. And that's exactly what you need.
More reckless. Also, shout out to London. I don't know if you guys heard the news, but he lost his wife to cancer. Terrible story. Yeah, I'm actually going to give my 3-game MVP to B-Rob. I think Robinson, like if you think back to this time last year, even the year before, what was the concern with Gibson consistently?
He didn't run angry.
Fumbles. I was going to say fumbles.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
LP read my mind.
He was a pansy.
I don't know about that, but just like I don't think he's gotten on the field for the Patriots, but
he had a 100-yard game week 2.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the game where they didn't throw the ball?
Week 3 though.
Yeah.
Okay. There's what I said about Jayden, I think applies to the offense at large. Like I'm confident that they can move the ball, and part of that is not fumbling, because that was how many fumbles did Gibby have in huge spots where they were trying to ice the game or trying to stay in the game or trying to run the game? Like,
you're 100% right. As soon as you got in the red zone, gone.
How many red zone touchdowns were potentially wiped off the board because they just couldn't keep the ball? So he's my 3-game MVP, right? And going into the desert, I had them beating the Cardinals. Marvin Harrison Jr. looks amazing, and Kyler looks like he's locked in and playing and focused, and they have more than one threat on that team, and James Conner can run.
James Conner's a big boy.
They took it to us last year without
James Conner got taller and bigger and stronger since once upon a time when he was in Pittsburgh. He just looks huge. I don't know why, but I hope they win. I really do. DC is like this. I feel like the city is primed to just like pop. Like it's the fans are dying for this team to not.
Even if we don't win, and this was kind of what you realized watching the game yesterday, it's refreshing to just see your NFL team play at an NFL caliber. We haven't had that under Ron, right? You kind of didn't have it at the end of Jay, but to just see NFL caliber production, even if you go to Arizona and it's another shootout and you lose 43-40, right? And it's a heartbreaker and it sucks. But if you're a productive team and you look like you can compete and put up points against whatever's in front of you, I don't think the fan base gets. They're sad they lost, but I think at the fan base as a whole, we're like,
but we want this one. We want
we want it and we need it. But it's also
it sets you up nicely for the handful of games, or at least
it would be a nice, easy NFC win.
Yes, and we need those, right? And like talking about the NFC at large,
Eagles hurt.
Eagles, like Eagles, the Cowboys. Like we already have a game on the Giants. The Giants aren't challenging for anything and probably will miss the playoffs. But why couldn't the Commanders win the NFC East? Like let's be real here. Like the Eagles aren't playing sound defense. They're missing their top 2 wide receiving options. Jahan is basically now forced into the number 1 slot or number 1A slot, and I don't think he's going to be able to do anything for them. I feel like they got lucky against New Orleans, personally. Saquon looked great. He's going to continue to look great, but Hurts is not special. At least he's not playing the way he was, of the years past. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Talent for talent, they're still a better team. Talent, even with the injuries.
But not coaching. I don't believe in Sirianni or their coordinators.
I don't believe in Sirianni. I could see a collapse, but I'm not ready to call them out.
I think I am. Ready. I've been calling them out all offseason. I said they're fake.
I'm interested. I want to see how the Cowboys play. The Eagles still got a ton of talent. That defense,
and so do the Cowboys.
The Cowboys do too.
Dak is still a good quarterback. CeeDee Lamb
can't run the ball.
Yeah,
CeeDee Lamb alone is gonna.
It's actually shocking that they went out and didn't address running back. Like they got Zeke. Well, yeah, but they let him go because he was over the hill. So to bring him back, I don't understand that move at all. But
yeah, he does look more in shape than he did when he was in New England. But
if you were, which NFC teams, if they were facing the Commanders on Sunday, would you assume confidently the Commanders would lose to right now? The Lions,
probably the Packers.
The Packers with Love.
Honestly, even the Packers with the Malik don't look that bad.
What about the Saints?
Saints, yeah,
probably.
They got the threat, the run threat, and the pass threat.
They lost to Tampa, but Tampa looked terrible against Denver. They should not have looked like that.
Honestly, the Rams, Niners, even with them banged up, so well coached, so well prepared, offensive geniuses. I don't think you take it on them. You could be close.
It was also a wild NFL weekend, right? Like the top, I think, 4 underdogs won outright. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it was just a wild weekend
I don't
for
think
the
you beat the
NFL, and it
Falcons.
happens the first 3, 4, or 5 weeks.
Falcons. Yeah. I mean, I think they're comfortably in the middle of the NFC. I mean,
I think we can go toe to toe with any team, and that's the
I
most
wouldn't-
important thing.
I wouldn't pick, but like you said, I wouldn't pick them to beat I mean, the Vikings. The Vikings look like a complete team. They just do.
They do.
And they look like geniuses. For multiple, like if you go back, half a decade, they look like a genius front office for bringing in Kirk, and now they look like geniuses for letting him go. Like I don't think they realized what they had in Sam, but wow, like Sam Darnold, and we saw this, and I mentioned this in our
Kirk
chat.
looked amazing the Chiefs game, right?
Sure.
Like that last drive. I mean,
Is there $100 million delta between him and Darnold right now? No way.
No.
No way.
we'd have to see it over.
What you have to do is you have to.
No. I'm making the call right now.
Jets.
I'm not paying $100 million more for Kirk if I'm getting this kind of production out of Darnold. No way.
Sure.
No
but
way.
that also shows you the power of a solid run game in Aaron Jones, right? Building up the offensive line, having a true wide receiver one. Like if you have the pieces, it makes the QB job easier, and vice versa.
I mean, you want to talk about pieces? I want to talk about the worst roster, the team we were poo-pooing for the last 2 weeks. You got to talk about Andy Dalton. You got to talk about the Red Rifle. I mean, I can't listen.
R.I.P. Bryce Young's rep, like that is not good for him.
Bryce is. I mean, Jamarcus is a historic level bust. Jamarcus Russell. Bryce Young has to be right now in that
worse. He's worse. If you look at everything that Chicago gave up and got, or what Carolina gave up and what Chicago got for that trade,
it is
way
out.
worse.
He is like next level terrible because Andy Dalton,
he's broken.
Andy Dalton literally with the exact same pieces came in and
crushed it.
Deontay Johnson looks like an all pro. Chuba Hubbard looks like an all pro. Suddenly the offensive line isn't give. I mean,
the defense being rested can actually defend.
It's I mean, honestly, it's shocking. And like from a fantasy perspective, all the talking heads were like, Andy's just gonna get there and sling it. Like he can't. Like his job is not. He's gonna sling it. Like start all your Panthers. Basically, I didn't have the balls to do it, but like you can't go back.
Isn't that kind of what we're seeing with Washington? Right? We got some pieces added, but if you remove the bad QB play, I love Sam Howell, I love Heineke, I love all those guys. But if you remove the bad QB play, last year we were talking about how terrible the O-line is. The O-line didn't change. Right? Okay, you bring in badass and Allegretti, okay, but like that's a push.
You change. No. Hold on. That's a really dumb thing. We changed 3 out of 5 players. 3 out of 5 positions.
They're push positions. They didn't. They're not that much better. They're not all pros.
No,
that
they're
we
not.
Brought in. We didn't bring in all pros, so it's not that we.
Biotish was at least a Pro Bowler. But who cares? It doesn't matter. They are significantly better than last year.
The line is significantly better because Sam Howell's gone and JD5 is in, right? And the year before Sam Howell came in,
I think
nobody was talking
better.
about the O-line.
I think they're being coached better. I think they are playing better.
I'm agreeing, but
they're being coached better.
I think
I'm trying to relate this to the Panthers in that you switch one piece and the team as a whole looks better. You cannot tell me if we didn't get Daniels.
Talk to me in 5 weeks about the Panthers. Let's see how they do in
I fully believe Andy Dalton will keep slinging it. I mean, he's going to give the skill position guys an opportunity to go get fantasy points, go get real points. He's got nothing to lose. I mean, the guy's got literally nothing to lose, and he is now the starter.
His career kind of got cut short for no reason too.
Well, because Burrow got drafted. Right. Yeah. I mean, is that not what forced him out of Cincinnati? Am I missing something?
No.
Right. I mean, he was there, right? And then he went to Dallas for I think a season or two. I don't remember where he went after.
He did all right in Dallas when Dak went down.
Yeah, I mean, but if you look at the history of quarterback play in Cincinnati, right, for a team that has won nothing and has only been really like competitive, so to speak, under Burrow the last couple of seasons, although they missed the playoffs last year, they went from Carson Palmer to Andy Dalton to Joe Burrow.
Solid,
right?
Something we've never had.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to keep Joe Burrow. I mean, I don't know. I believe in Andy. I just don't see why. I don't see Bryce getting that job back. I don't see. I mean,
No, he'll be traded.
But Bryce could have a resurgence if he goes to a proper team like Sam Darnold, right? If Zach Wilson were to leave
Fields, look at
Fields, if Zach Wilson were to leave Denver and suddenly go to Miami, I bet you Zach Wilson looks amazing with that roster, right? Because you can't trust what you see from the Jets.
Did you read?
You can't really trust what you see from the Panthers.
The same rumor I read that they're Miami's actively looking for a quarterback trade right now. Actively.
Yeah. Well, the Skylar Thompson or whatever has bruised ribs.
He's
they
injured.
have Huntley.
Yeah, but
they have to do something.
Are
Tyreek's gonna cry.
I mean,
FP is not horrible. I mean, he did make the Pro Bowl.
FP's been jockeying Russell Wilson to Miami. I mean, is that if you're Pittsburgh, are you putting Russell Wilson in over Justin?
I think the league is out on Russell Wilson. I think
he's better than.
He's a Super Bowl MVP on the bench.
And he's stepping into an offense that has 2.5 stud running backs, 2.5 stud receivers, a gifted tight end, a solid offensive line, and a better than serviceable defense. I mean,
and a boy wonder
a
offense.
Very creative offensive mind
and good weather. Like if there is that, I mean, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to roll. You're wasting.
I think if you're Russell Wilson, you got to go and tell your agent that you want to go to Miami.
Or if you're
he's not getting the job back in Pittsburgh.
Saying I want to go to Miami.
Every QB should be saying that. That's the destination.
I mean, is there a better receiving duo?
No,
I don't think so.
I mean, it's every backup QB's dream to end up in Miami of all places with those weapons. The question is, how long is he going to? Yeah, how long are they going to play for? Do you want to give up
even if he
cushy bench job?
What we have learned is you cannot lead, like you cannot not have
a solid backup,
a serviceable backup. You just can't. You can't do it. Honestly, like they could trade him. They could trade Mariota. Like they send him down there.
Isn't he on IR?
Look at our.
IR.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, is that why I saw Notre Dame on the sideline? I think
Notre Dame was on the sideline, but also that's why Driscoll came in for that one play.
Next level hot. Just saying. He's a gorgeous human being.
He is a beautiful man.
All right, I want to talk about. I had one question here that was parked. If you had to take a futures bet right now on the best QB in this class, are you taking Jayden or the field? The only real, I mean, I think everyone's going to say Jayden here. I'm a Bo Nix guy. I still think Bo Nix is. I think he looks great, but I think at this point it's going to have to be. I mean, he just looks really good. And
Why
Caleb,
are we even talking about this?
Caleb looks really well because I want to talk about Caleb.
Let the year play out.
I want to talk about Caleb. I don't think. Listen, do you think Caleb?
I don't think Caleb. I think Caleb's in a situation where he was just not set up to succeed. I think
he's got DeAndre Swift and Keenan Allen and
Caleb is an
offensive line.
You got DJ Moore like slamming his helmet. You got DJ Moore mouthing to the backup QB like "I need you." Like that's a bad situation.
This is why in the offseason when I was talking about the excitement around the Washington team this is the first time you had owner, GM, coach, QB all brought in together, same page. The Bears keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? Caleb comes in with Eberflus in the lame duck season. Justin came in with what's his face in a lame duck season. Nagy, right? Trubisky came in with whoever before Nagy on a lame duck season. They keep repeating the same cycle with first overall QBs, right?
Yes.
Like
was Lovie Smith their best coach in our lifetime?
Yeah, and Rex Grossman was their best QB.
I think
no, Jay Cutler.
Yeah, what did Rex Grossman got a Super Bowl?
But Eberflus is a good. I think he's a good coach.
I didn't gain very much confidence in the Bears.
No, there's a joke going around that. There's a joke
and everything
going around that HBO is winning an Emmy for Hard Knocks because of they edited the Hard Knocks so well that they made it that Eberflus doesn't look like an idiot.
I mean,
he's an idiot.
Well, we're gonna see them in a couple weeks, right? Or
that'll be a big game, 1 versus 2.
Let's go. Before we get to Puffy, because I know FP wants to talk about Puffy, let's go top 5, low 5. I've got some new additions into my top 5. Let's do the low 5 first, because I think there's a couple things mixed up in there too. I think we had Panthers at the bottom. They are no longer at the bottom for me. I'm actually moving. Well, I'll just give you mine. The Titans, I feel, are the worst team in the league currently. They were not the worst last week, but I feel like they are the worst. I don't think Will Levis has all kinds of problems. They've got half of one receiver that can catch the ball somewhat down the field, but he can't get the ball to him. They can't run the ball. I mean, it's just a mess. The Titans for me are dead last. Jaguars, after what I watched on Monday night on the second screen, that team is way too good to look the way they look. I don't understand what the hell happened to Sunshine. I don't understand why they can't move the ball. Like, Jaguars for me, second worst.
Doug Peterson's seat is smoking hot right now.
I'm going Raiders. I'm going Panthers. I'm going Patriots. And then, the Bengals at 0-3 belong in that conversation, which is crazy. But
Bengals aren't a bad team.
Yeah, I mean, they're not worse than the Browns, but the Dolphins, the Giants, the Cardinals. I mean, there's a bunch of bad teams at the bottom. Anyway, my point is Titans, Jaguars, Raiders, Panthers are clearly for me the bottom four, and I'll throw the Patriots in there just for giggles. Any changes from you guys? Anything you see differently?
I think I'm dropping the Jaguars all the way down because even though the Titans haven't won a game, they've been in all their games. Jaguars, they're looking really, really bad.
Bad.
And when it gets to the point where Doug Peterson said he said it today, all personnel and coaching decisions or like positions are up for debate. And he specifically said, including QB, the guy they just paid.
Send him to
that is a terrible, terrible situation for the Jags. But I'll agree. I mean, the crazy thing is how fast you go from the Redskins being a bottom five team after week one, kind of week two.
Well, I'm checking like on FanDuel on ESPN, the Raiders dropped 12 positions and 16 positions after losing to the Panthers and Andy Dalton. LP, is your bottom five different than ours?
I've got the Titans, Panthers, Jacksonville, Giants, Raiders, Patriots.
Patriots. Yeah, they stink too.
They looked horrible. What was that on Thursday night?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of teams that are 1 and 2.
I'm actually not so out on the Giants, and I think they actually beat the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football.
If that happens, then the Redskins are competing for the NFC East.
Would anybody be surprised to see the Giants?
I would be surprised.
Malik Neighbors is unguardable.
He's unguardable, and the Giants D line is gonna devour Dak because they don't have to worry about a run game. So
I wouldn't be blitz. I don't expect them to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. And I expect Malik Neighbors is
like, don't get me wrong, the Browns suck, but that Browns defense is not bad, and the Giants could score on that Browns defense.
I mean, the Bears
wouldn't be surprised.
Don't the Bears belong in this conversation? They really haven't looked, and the Colts too. The Colts to me are Anthony Richardson is a freak athlete with no accuracy and like no presence. I don't understand him actually, like, because I want him to not stink. But I mean, he completes it consistently. His box score reads like he completes 8 passes, 11 passes, 13 passes, and usually they're just bombs. They're heaves. I don't get.
He's a YOLO ball guy.
He was not a quarterback ready to be in the NFL when he was drafted.
Yeah,
and he was thrown to the wolves, and then he got hurt. So he never really had the time to develop to be a quarterback.
The Bears suck, but their defense and their special teams is great. And I said this in the group chat, and nobody really paid it any attention. Caleb Williams is very, very, very comparable to one Sam Howell. They are almost identical in metrics, stats, play, style of play, all of it.
I wouldn't trust a DC guy to be a quarterback. I don't know. I just don't think
you're not wrong.
We don't come off as the city that breeds quarterbacks. I mean, PG County and DB's okay.
Basketball players.
Like, when was the last time? Basketball, sure.
We're crushing
basketball. Yeah, we got some basketball players.
All right, let's switch. Let's go top 5. I'm going to give you the 3-0 teams. Chiefs, Bills, Vikings, Seahawks, and Steelers. Just incredible. They're going to be at the top of most teams or most folks' top 5 power rankings. I got to be honest. I got I don't want the Steelers in my top 5. I know they're 3-0, but I don't think they belong there. And the Seahawks too. I'm not believing. I'm really not buying either of these teams. Chiefs and Bills. Yes, I think they belong there. I don't think anyone's gonna. You can put them in any order you want. Vikings, I think, deserve to be there. I think they are winning. They are winning convincingly. Sam Darnold looks amazing. I mean, the team looks balanced on offense. Overall defense, they're playing some great defense as well. Seahawks, I'm not buying. The Steelers, I'm not buying. The team that I'm going to sneak in there, I still like the Texans, even though they lost. And honestly, it's the Saints for me. The Saints belong in the top 5. They're too good. They're just too good. And I know they lost, but they're stacked. They're stacked at the skill positions. Kamara looks great, and the defense looks sound. So I know they're 2-1, but I'm putting them ahead of some of those 3-0 teams. How about you guys?
What about the Niners?
Bills, Chiefs, Lions, Packers, Vikings.
Yeah, the Lions. Okay. LP?
Niners?
Two
Are the
injured.
Niners 1-2 or 2-1?
They're 1-2.
Two injured.
1-2.
They'll get hot mid-season and come into the wild card and then just upset.
I mean, do you agree with me that the Steelers and the Seahawks are hard to trust right now at 3?
Well, the Steelers 3-0. I mean, don't forget when the Steelers were 12-0 and our crappy Ron Rivera team went in and upset them. Yeah, so
that's right.
They're always a fake record, right? They're never as good as they seem. But
the defense is awesome.
Yeah,
right? The defense is awesome.
Mike Tomlin is a good coach. He knows how to keep a team together, and they can get those hard wins. But
they just feel like the 2000 Ravens, like they're gonna get a ton of sacks and turn over the offense a bunch, but they can't score.
When it comes to being in a shootout, they're screwed. But can you get into a shootout with that defense? No.
Yeah, and the Seahawks too. Like DK is a freak. I mean, they still got some pieces there, but I just can't trust Geno. I don't know. For me, it's the Saints. The Saints are the dark horse.
That's impressive though for Mike McDonald, first year head coach.
I was going to say
started off 3-0.
The one underlier is nobody really knows what Mike McDonald's going to pull out of that team, so that could be a real 3-0.
And I think we'll see. I think we're the Seahawks or the Lions. One of them they show. I think they play on Monday night. They're one of the 2 Monday night games. Whoever wins that game belongs in the top 5. Right at that point, if the Seahawks are 4-0. I got to eat my words, right? But if the Lions beat them, then I'm putting the Lions back up. But I do believe in the Saints. I think that's the one team I keep looking at and saying, if someone's going to run the tables this early in the season, or if you're going to pick a dark horse right now to win the whole thing, I mean, for me, it's the Saints. They're a complete team. They've shown they can get a ton of points, and they've shown they can play some defense, right? They put it all together. We'll see. But to me, like that's my dark horse team in the NFC. I think.
But who have they really done it against? They haven't really done it against anyone.
And they did it against a very good Dallas defense, didn't they? Didn't they light up?
Dallas doesn't have a very good defense.
Well,
and then they did it against the Bryce Young Panthers.
Sure.
So, and then they went toe to toe with the Eagles, but against
Eagles pulled it up.
A hurt Eagles team that they should have had the win.
It was like 15-12. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you had to pick a team right now, like the best, who is the single best team in the league right now?
Buffalo Bills.
I'm going with the Bills as well.
100%. Josh Allen's playing out of his mind.
Yeah, very rare that you
would be
lose.
second, probably.
Yeah, very lose that a team loses. It's very rare that a team loses someone of Stephon Diggs' caliber and improves, right? Like,
because they felt pressured to keep him satisfied. They don't have to do that anymore.
Yes.
So the offense opened up with him gone.
But the challenge is always, is Josh Allen going to stay healthy for the whole season? Right.
Yeah, he's
never out. He's never out, but he's towards the end of the season, he's always hobbling.
I don't like when people say you have to assume health. Just assume health. Don't say assume health, right? He'll be fine. He'll be fine until he's not.
Who said assume health?
Well, I mean, you were pussyfooting around it, but you were about to say it. I can feel it. I can feel it. All right, one last topic: the Puffy reckoning. FP, I know we've been. I mean,
LP has no idea what we're talking about.
LP? I mean, we can sneak in some soccer topics. Did you watch Man City Arsenal on Sunday? Did you watch Michael Oliver or Michael Owen just screw the Gunners completely by giving so much extra time?
No.
Okay, great. Well, then we can't discuss it.
Football season.
Okay.
Go back to Puffy.
Okay, so FP. I mean, Puff Daddy,
the diddler.
I mean, is this the end? I mean, for sure it's the end of Puffy, but like, if you had to guess how many people are going down with him, like, is this a 0 to 10 situation? 20 to 50 situation or a 50 plus situation?
He's taken down all of Black Hollywood and then some. He's taking them all. We need Stevie here for this conversation, but Big Mike's going down. Everybody's going down. Diddy's taking them all. J-Lo's going down. The Kardashians. He's taking everybody down with him.
Well, the Kardashians were on record saying they've never attended a Diddy party, and then there's video of
1,000 videos of them there.
I can't figure out if that LeBron photo is real or not. I can't.
In the French maid costume?
Because I don't want to believe that's real.
I mean, if it's not real, that's some really good AI.
But then there's stuff from like Cat Williams, right? Like, remember that whole interview? He said he called literally all of it, and he said this year they're all going down.
I mean,
and then there's the Aaron Carter allegation. Did you see this?
Which one's that?
Aaron Carter, right? Who used to he unfortunately ended up passing in an apparent suicide situation in his bathtub. It's now being rumored that happened because he was planning to expose Puffy. And
oh yeah. There was another chick, the same thing, that she was going to write a tell-all book.
Crazy, dude.
And Diddy wanted him out. I mean, it's going to
all
come out.
Videos.
It's going to come out. He had Tupac killed. It's going to come out that he gave up Biggie's life to protect himself. It's all crumbling down. I mean, Diddy's been around for so long, but it also like political parties with this, like Trump is knocking elbows with him all throughout the 90s, right? Like it's just everything everywhere. It's going to come crumbling down, or he's just going to get unalived.
The videos with the minors. There's a video of him with Justin Bieber when he was 16. That he was his legal guardian for 48 hours.
Yeah.
There's a video, a much more recent video, I think from last year, when they run into each other like a golf course, and he's straight up patting him down for a wire as he's whispering to him. Like, this is crazy. This is crazy.
I just love that Gen Z kids went from saying no homo to no Diddy, and that's the best thing that came out of this. And just say no Diddy now.
I mean, it's
insane.
I mean, this is bad.
I can't wait. 50 Cent, if you haven't followed 50 Cent or all the things 50 Cent has said about Diddy, you have to, because he is full savage. I think he already signed the rights to a documentary about it all. He's probably going to play himself in it. Like 50 Cent is going full savage against Diddy.
Also the one who cut off his own kid because he was trying to mooch, $10K a month off.
I love 50 Cent.
He didn't want to work.
50 Cent is a genius and hilarious. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean,
we lost Paul. LP looks like me when we talk about soccer.
He's finished.
I honestly don't know what you guys are talking about. I mean, I know.
You know that there's a hurricane headed to your former stomping grounds. Are you following that story?
No. I would like to talk murder mystery and talk about Fairfax County. Have you guys been following the stories?
The au pair situation.
That's an interesting story.
That's wild.
I mean,
that's like Lifetime movie making.
Yeah. And they arrested the dad on the side of the road. Very weird. Like,
well, it's been
they didn't bring him in.
It's been almost 2 years or something. It's been a long time, and
1 year.
No, it was like it was
last year.
It was a year and a half. It was like in February or January of last year. Yeah.
I mean, do you want to give people the story? You want to give them the rundown?
No, because it's still all
No, but we know
guilty allegations.
I'll give them the
blah blah blah.
That's great. We're gonna talk about the end of the story. Is a husband and a wife hire an au pair. The husband and the au pair are having an affair and decide that they want to. I don't know how you make this like leap to killing the wife, but they decide they want to kill the wife. So they make a fake account on like a fetish website and invite some rando over to the house that they intend to frame as the killer of the wife and then kill him too and turn it into like a murder-suicide situation. The au pair is in jail.
So the au pair was charged with killing the guy.
Yes.
The guy who came over, the innocent guy who came over.
Yes.
Thought he was getting his fetish on. And ended up being shot.
That's a tough.
I need to revisit. How hot is the au pair?
It's not that hot.
So she's low on the hot crazy scale.
I mean, I don't know how to answer that question, but
I'm not trying to justify the murder, but I'm saying like
I don't know what's the.
I'm just saying like
reference.
I don't know. You have to be insanely hot
No, dude, there's no level of
Kill
hotness that
for.
justifies killing. No.
No,
There's
no.
no level.
No.
Where's Steve? I need Steve.
It's better for Steve not to have an opinion on this topic, but you can't like. There's no one hot enough to kill for. That's not a metric. I'm not even.
Hey, you say that to King David, okay? Hey.
Okay, that's a good pull. But I'm just the story sucks, and
the story's wild.
There's
There's
a kid that's gonna grow up without a mom who did nothing wrong.
But here's what I don't understand. It was like at 7 o'clock or something like that in the morning, right?
Yeah,
Where was the kid? The kid's 4 years old. Where was the kid?
Kid was in
was
the
at home?
house at the
That's
time.
terrible.
He was in the house at the time of the mother's murder. Yes.
So the kid witnessed that. That's horrible.
But
right, because there was a call to 911.
What have the police been
about the
doing for the
man.
last? What have the police been doing for the last year and a half? Like
They've been gathering evidence, apparently.
Pulling people over.
Now they say they have enough evidence or good evidence to.
I mean, forensic
suggest
evidence.
that he was
like,
the one.
Digital forensic evidence that's a fascinating topic to me. I'm just fascinated by it. That you can, like we have a couple friends that are in this space, and they're like, anything you do ever on a computer, ever.
Yeah,
right. There's a digital footprint.
I used to do forensic evidence
of everything.
My old job. It's crazy. You can capture mouse movement, keyboard entries, things that you haven't even actually entered in. All of it. It's all seen. I mean, depends on how locked down your system is, but it's all seen. Nothing can be hidden.
No, they get subpoenas and they can go to providers and all.
But it's just fascinating. Someone can come take my computer out of my house and plug it in a lab somewhere, and then even if I clear everything and delete everything, they can bring it all back with time. Yeah. Like I did this on this day at this time, and the football highlights are playing in the background. Like
I've been watching. They had the Commanders on there a little bit.
Yeah, this is the prime time. Am I the last person that watches Boomer and Booger?
I'll watch it, but Booger's hard.
Well, there's only so many of the sound bites that the Chardonnay scores for the Seahawks or mumbling, stumbling, bumbling, whatever. Like, it takes me back to.
I'm so happy that the fastest 2 minutes is back, though. I love that segment on Monday Night Football.
He's 75. He's so old. Like they can't fire him, but they stuck him on behind a paywall. Like I don't know. It kind of seems like they're doing him a disservice over here. But
during yesterday's game, I don't know if it was just because there's a doubleheader or there was two games at the same time, but it was the fastest 1 minute. So they got him 50%.
Honestly, it's probably better. There's a lot of whoop.
I love that.
Honestly, I almost want to rewatch the game so I can listen to Troy and Buck because we couldn't hear it at Glory Days.
That was the biggest offense of the evening.
What you should do is watch Moises Linares, the Spanish broadcast of all the touchdowns. That is fantastic.
Where's the all 22? Did we have the all 22 yet? Was the Athletic posted your guy FP
Bullock? I don't think it probably comes out tomorrow.
Any predictions?
Definitely not on the Athletic.
I'm gonna play
I got it again, LP, but not through the Athletic. I got it through Apple News.
Okay.
Well, as this plays, can I get a prediction from you, LP, as far as what happens on Sunday at 4:00?
I'm going to go loss in the desert, 24-17.
FP?
I'm going high scoring affair, 36-30 Commanders.
I'm going high scoring affair too, 38-20 Commanders, baby. Let's go. Thanks, boys. This ends week 3 show. DTC, available anywhere you get your podcasts. Check us out, interact, email the show. I promise the anonymous mailbag will come back at some point. Sorry, I keep failing to prep that segment, but I'll get back to it next week. Until then, we're out. Hail to the Redskins, the Commanders, raise hail, all the other stuff. But
you gotta come.
Hey, 2-1, baby, 2-1.